Hello, everyone. Today we're diving into the so-called cultural wars, a topic that has long transcended niche circles to become a true phenomenon in the world of show business, cinema, and media. Global film stars, popular personalities, renowned journalists, and other cultural figures are all actively involved in discussing a wide array of issues, and sometimes their behavior goes beyond the ordinary, bordering on pure madness. Yet, despite all this chaos, there are plenty of examples where celebrities exhibit perfectly sensible and reasonable behavior that can serve as a model for others. Today, I want to share some of the coolest examples of how Hollywood stars have managed to make their opinions heard and even wash their hands of the pressure to conform to certain trends or ideologies. It's going to be really interesting, I promise. So if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this friendly style of presentation. Let's kick things off with the striking case involving actor Mads Mikkelsen. This incident took place in 2023 when he was presenting his new historical film, which went by several titles such as The King's Sword, The Promised Land, or even Bastard, depending on the director's interpretation. The film by Danish director Nikolaj Arcel tells the story of events in the mid-17th century, set in the remote and cold expanses of Denmark. By the way, if you haven't seen such European cinema yet, I highly recommend you check it out. It's a true example of sober, thoughtful art that stands apart from the typical Hollywood blockbusters. After the premiere at the famous Venice Film Festival, one of the journalists asked Mikkelsen why the film featured an entirely Scandinavian cast, and whether he didn't think about diversity and inclusiveness in modern cinema. The actor's response was not only amusing, but also remarkably witty. He listened to the journalist's spiel with obvious boredom and composure, before remarking that apparently some new rules about diversity have already been set somewhere across the ocean, specifically alluding to the new Oscar guidelines. When the journalist tried to continue, suggesting that since the Venice Festival is like the European equivalent of the Oscars, they should adhere to the same standards, Mikkelsen simply asked him to answer his own question. In the end, the incident became a vivid example of how one should not overemphasize the pursuit of perfect diversity, especially when the film's setting is deeply rooted in a specific historical period. Director Nikolaj Arcel even stepped in to smooth things over by reminding everyone that the film's action takes place in 1750s Denmark, and that its main storyline still includes intriguing details. For instance, the story of a girl of color that reflects the societal attitudes of that era. Mikkelsen's silent demonstration made it clear to both the journalist and everyone around that discussing superficial diversity standards in such a context was simply pointless. Now let's recall another equally engaging case involving cinema veteran and Marvel legend Samuel L. Jackson. This incident occurred back when the film Django Unchained was being promoted. For those of you who haven't seen the film yet, definitely give it a watch, because it's not only a piece of living cinema, but also a true cultural phenomenon that has become a classic. During an interview on Fox TV in Houston, film critic Josh Hamilton posed a question to Jackson about the controversial use of a word beginning with N. According to Hamilton, that word was used over 100 times in the film, and he believed the actor should be ready to discuss the issue. But Samuel L. Jackson immediately interrupted, saying, "I don't understand what word beginning with N you're talking about." When the journalist, almost in a whisper, admitted that he didn't even want to say the word, Jackson sarcastically remarked that if he'd never said the word himself, then why should they even discuss it? This subtle, almost artful trolling clearly showed that the actor wouldn't tolerate being forced into adopting any pretentious, progressive stance. After all, he had used that word himself many times over the course of his career. This moment sparked a storm of reactions online. Fans praised Jackson for his confidence and wit, while critics tried to justify his blunt response. But the truth is, the situation was a brilliant example of how one can maintain humor and common sense, even in the most contentious moments. It's interesting to note that such cases are not uncommon in modern cinema. Another example is the situation with actress Evangeline Lilly, who, after leaving the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was confronted with questions about gender stereotypes during an interview with the Washington Post. When asked why the industry is so obsessed with issues like the battle of the sexes and the oppression of women by toxic masculinity, she quoted one of her own Instagram posts, asking, "Why do we celebrate masculinity only in women and condemn it in men? Why do we celebrate femininity only in men and belittle it in women? Why can't we simply accept things as they are?" She then added that she couldn't understand why society is so quick to criticize a man. Say, one driving a pickup truck and appearing rough, that if he were a woman, he'd be seen as the epitome of cool, while a man who enjoys wearing makeup and is easily moved to tears is suddenly deemed virtuous. Yet a woman doing the same is considered pitiable. With this question, she not only sparked a wave of discussion, but also made many journalists rethink the double standards prevalent in today's society. If you appreciate this kind of candor, don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with your friends. We can also recall the case of Jennifer Aniston, who during an interview with a young journalist from ETI was asked about how the new generation sets priorities and rejects the toxicity of the past, and eventually couldn't hold back any longer, turning the tables on the critics by invoking the classic TV show Friends. She pointed out that the current generation is too obsessed with taking offense, forgetting that many things were perceived differently in the past. "We were supposed to think things through," she said, "but I don't think there's ever been a time when people were as hypersensitive as they are now." With these words, Jennifer not only voiced her own opinion, but also made it clear that sometimes people get too caught up in determining what is and isn't acceptable to laugh about. If you agree with her, please hit like and leave your thoughts in the comments. There was no shortage of similar instances, as evidenced by the case of Emily Blunt. During an interview with Britain's Telegraph, she openly expressed her frustration with the term strong female role, which she felt had become a hollow cliche. "When I read a script that mentions a strong female role, I just roll my eyes," she confessed. "I want to say, enough already. I'm not your puppet, and I'm tired of having to prove something all the time." Emily Blunt emphasized that she prefers characters with secrets, with genuine vitality and hope. Characters who are refreshingly unpredictable, rather than ones molded by formulas that require endless perfection. Her candid remarks resonated with audiences, and many viewers online commented that the actress had finally said what many had been thinking silently. If this sentiment resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Now let's wrap up our journey through the world of cultural wars with one more wonderful example from the Hollywood legend Morgan Freeman. In an interview for the show 60 Minutes with Matt Wallace, he tackled the topic of society's fervent concern about so-called black culture and the issue of racism in the United States. A journalist asked him, "What do you think about Black History Month?" Freeman instantly replied that, in his opinion, it was a load of nonsense. But then he countered with a question, Why do you want to reduce my entire history to just 1 month? He continued by asking which month would be chosen to represent the history of his own community. When his interviewer hesitated to name such a month, Freeman stressed that he didn't need a special month to remind everyone that Black history is the history of the entire United States, not just a fragment. He also added that if we were to divide history along racial lines, then his opponent could be labeled white, while he would be black. This masterfully conducted exchange not only demonstrated Morgan Freeman's confidence, but also made many reflect on how absurd it is to try to reduce an entire country's history to a few labels. If you enjoyed this masterclass, please hit that like button and share this video with your friends. It's worth noting that such examples aren't limited to these celebrities alone. The internet is continually filled with new videos and articles where famous actors and public figures, like Robert Downey Jr., Kevin Hart, and even some musicians, openly share their perspectives on cultural and social trends. Many of them actively use their social networks to discuss what truly matters to them and why we shouldn't succumb to trendy mandates that impose certain behaviors. For example, in a recent interview, Robert Downey Jr. spoke about his vision for the future of film and culture, emphasizing that diversity is important, but not at the expense of individuality and historical accuracy. Meanwhile, Kevin Hart, known for his genuine sense of humor, has repeatedly joked about how some journalists try to tag every event with the label of political correctness, forgetting that life is far more complex and multifaceted than simple stereotypes. The modern world is changing rapidly, and cultural wars, strange as it may sound, have become an arena for expressing opinions where every voice counts. Social media and online platforms allow celebrities to communicate directly with their audience, share their thoughts. Some critics note that these cases are not so much a battle for ideals as they are a way for stars to assert themselves without becoming puppets of sensationalist mass media. Internet analysts and bloggers actively share their observations, discussing how the ability to respond to a provocative question with humor and common sense has become a form of art in today's show business. For instance, recent online research has shown that audiences value sincerity and confidence far more than imposed standards and superficial trends. Beyond the well-known examples of Mads Mikkelsen, Samuel L. Jackson, Evangeline Lilly, Jennifer Aniston, Emily Blunt, and Morgan Freeman, there are other vivid moments from the recent history of cinema. For example, several independent film actors have openly voiced their disagreement with the trend of a pure, progressive approach, arguing that art should be multifaceted and not confined within the boundaries of any single ideology. These statements are often accompanied by appeals to viewers to leave comments, share their opinions, and, of course, hit that like button if they support genuine creative freedom. Moreover, it's important to note that today's cultural debates extend beyond issues of race and gender to include questions about freedom of speech, intellectual honesty, and even personal responsibility among celebrities. Internet users in the United States are actively discussing the importance of staying true to oneself, resisting trendy pressures, and not becoming puppets of political correctness. It's this spirit of individuality and frankness that makes cultural wars so fascinating and multifaceted. Countless discussions on social media, blogs, talk shows, and podcasts serve as platforms for debating these issues. Celebrities who can respond to provocative questions with humor often become true icons for millions of people, showing that one can remain honest with oneself without sacrificing individuality for popularity. For example, a popular blogger recently noted that it's precisely these sincere and confident responses from celebrities that help people better understand that culture is not just a collection of trendy phrases, but a living organism that continually evolves and reflects the realities of our time. So, if you want to stay updated on the most vivid and interesting examples from the world of show business, if you're curious about how celebrities react when someone tries to force them into certain molds and stereotypes, then be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Your opinion is incredibly important to us, so share in the comments which instances have left the biggest impression on you and what you think about modern culture overall. We continue to follow the news, analyze the freshest examples from the lives of celebrities, and are always eager to share the most intriguing stories with you. In this era, when the internet unites millions of voices, every news story is an opportunity to see the world from a different perspective, to understand that behind the loud statements are real people with their own struggles, beliefs, and of course, a sense of humor. Remember, cultural wars are not always about conflict. They're also about finding balance between traditions and new trends. Sometimes these moments give us a chance to pause, reflect, and re-examine our own views. The celebrities we've discussed today are living proof that it's possible to be successful while staying true to your principles and connecting with an audience, even if that audience consists of millions of diverse voices. In conclusion, culture, like life, is multifaceted and dynamic. Every new incident, every interview adds another page to the enormous book of social relationships, where the key is to remain true to yourself and not be afraid to speak the truth, even if it doesn't always fit into modern trends. If you enjoyed our discussion, please support us with a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your friends, because together, we can make the world a little more honest and kind. Thank you all for watching and for your attention. See you in our upcoming videos, where we'll continue to explore the most interesting and important topics of our time. Stay with us, be active, and let every voice be heard.